Teaching is like acting.
Students feel that you care for them.
Communicate this motivation.
Everything about crypto is so surprising.
Oh God, do we have to know all that?
To spend enough time?
Being lazy is not the worst thing.
So I hope I'm a good teacher. I guess you'll have to ask the students. But for me, good teaching is just about really caring about the students and their learning. So especially when I teach cryptography or, areas of theoretical CS, which is basically what I teach, right? Algorithms or theory of computation, any of that stuff. It's all something that I have a deep love for, right? Especially cryptography. Like I really want to convey this, the paradox that is cryptography. Like I try to tell them sort of how surprising it is that you can even do something like key exchange. I mean, you can write down a definition and write down a syntax and security definition and show a construction. But I try to start by saying, let's say we've all met here today for the first time. And there's one of you that I want to exchange messages in secret with, but, we have no chance to step out and exchange anything. So can we, within this classroom, within this crowd, can we somehow exchange messages secretly? And, phrased in this way, it seems like, no, you should not be able to, right? But yeah, I mean, everything about crypto is so surprising. Hardcore bits are surprising. Zero knowledge proofs are surprising. Everything is surprising. So I feel that having a love for the subject and kind of a deeper appreciation of it and a love for communicating that to the people in front of you. So I'll always do everything I can. I mean, I'll go over it any number of times. I'll meet them offline. I'll try to design interesting assignments. I think that the enthusiasm, the inspiration is the main thing. So, and of course you have to be organized. So, I've made plenty of mistakes where, like, I was once teaching a theory of computation course, and I would take these little feedback sheets at the end of every class, like, what did you understand, what's not clear to you? And I'd actually go through all of them, 80, 90 of them after every class. And then I would start the next class with addressing the most statistically significant doubts. So I thought that really helped, students to sort of feel involved. And especially in the early years, they're shy to ask questions. So having these little feedback sheets really helps. But then I've also blundered that a little bit, in the sense that I would get so into addressing these questions that I went really slow in the beginning, and then I had to kind of really ramp it up when the important topics came. So they were not happy about that. So I think, there's a bit of spontaneity needed. There's also a whole lot of organization that's needed. And just trying to stay in touch with where they are and, what they're thinking. I think for us now, it's very easy to, we're very trained in abstraction, right? So it's very easy to forget the kinds of questions that somebody just starting out might be having. So getting this feedback and trying to work on it, I think that helps a lot. Yeah. So these are just a few things that I tried.
My motivation as a teacher comes from feeling extremely grateful to society that I'm giving the opportunity to foster my own self-growth almost all of the time. Every day I can go research cryptography and build my understanding of cryptography. And because I'm giving this opportunity, I feel a strong sense of responsibility to give back to society and to help other people develop the skill. There are things that I find important. That's how I start developing the contents of the course. But then once I had the contents, and I had developed my own notion of which things I think would be useful for other people to learn in the kind of framework of one course. Then I started to closely listen in to what the course participants said. For example, not all of them were used to mathematical definitions and didn't find them necessarily useful. So then I integrated examples of schemes that looked completely fine, but were in reality totally broken. And I show this in lecture 1 to really address the motivation that drives me, and to communicate this motivation really early on. And I think this communicating the motivation early on, why things make sense, I think this is really one key ingredient in helping people enjoy a course.
So that's similar to how to prepare a research talk, and so understand the capability of your students, and also spend enough time. So that's the most important part that I think you should pay attention. Always keep in mind.
I mean, in my personal experience, it was a learning curve. So as a PhD student, I was very often the TA for some basic computer science theory course. I got my first experience there, but that's already quite now a few years back. So what most people typically start with when they get into junior positions is advanced lectures. And in advanced lectures, really the audience is on your side. As long as you are reasonably motivated and talk about something in your own field of research where you can say things with confidence and give students a perspective, they will love it. They will like it, as long as you have some minimum amount of structure there, which helps them to see what's going to happen. So in my experience, this is very different for really basic courses where you talk to people which have very little foundations, or maybe whose first, second, or third term this is. There you need to somewhat follow a completely different approach. I mean, there it's not your excitement, your enthusiasm for the subject matter that will win them over or that will benefit them. There it's really an extremely predictable structure. So if they know what to expect and what's going to happen, and let's say as few surprises as possible, I went through a steep learning curve there. So the first time I gave a class in front of 150, 200 people, I think I was too excited, and a lot of students were actually scared from that. They were like, "Oh God, do we have to know all that? Is this going to be asked in the exam?" So younger students, in my experience, are not yet sort of mentally prepared for having a teacher who's exploding with excitement, because they think, oh, this is all going to be relevant for the exam, and this is going to be it's going to be horrible in the exam. So there I really had to start taming myself and going easy on things, not to overwhelm students with enthusiasm and from their perspective, complicated topics.
That's also no magic here as well. Some people are talented and are extraordinary speakers and teachers, and some are less, right? I think one thing that I learned during my experience is that students like to see, they like that we give them motivation. For instance, our courses are highly technical. Like some of them are like they're involved with heavy math, which is okay. But if you tell the students where you can use it, what is this useful for, then you can actually really it helps to build their motivation to study this, because they really can see how it could be useful for or the benefit for humanity and mankind. And so that's definitely something. And for instance, in crypto, it's very easy to do that. So that's definitely one thing. And I just want to say that teaching is like acting. Really, you really need to act. You really need to. I mean, if I'm going to sit down and talk with my monotone voice, and people will fall asleep, you really need to get them involved, getting them excited, getting them asking questions, and it's an art, definitely. It's not something you learn through your experience.
Talk a little bit about teaching, how to design a course, and how to be a good teacher. I think it's quite important that the psychological factor in teaching is quite important. So I always try to make sure that the students feel that you care for them, that you really is kind of a passionate thing that you do. You really want to teach to them. You know, don't be a dick, don't be an idiot, right, and be arrogant. I had a lot of bad professors in my life, and I always tried to be different. And regardless of your pedagogy, right, if they just have this feeling you really care about them, I mean, this goes a long way. But then, of course, this is you know, doesn't really help you becoming like the perfect cryptography or security teacher. And then I think it's quite important when you design the material, try really hard to make it very understandable from ground zero. So don't assume too much, right? Go back and motivate the stuff with, you know, some kind of real world examples. I think that is extremely helpful when you start in the beginning, and, you know, when you talk, I don't know, what stream ciphers or security proofs or whatever, right? Try to relate that to a real world security situation. You maybe start with an anecdote about a real world hack where that somehow played a role, and then try to do it in a very slow fashion. Use a lot of you know, slides and boards and so forth. Again, right, if anything, try to overdo it with being very slow and explaining the stuff so that everybody can follow. That really helps with teaching, you know, because you know, typical classes are an hour, 90 minutes in Europe, and the intention spans of humans like 18 minutes. So you're going to lose everybody in the course of your lecture, right? So, but if you're slow and explaining and use nice graphics, you always give people a chance to jump on again, even if they lost your train of thoughts. And again, relate to the students, you know, make them feel you care. And again, I think these emotional aspects, together with the slow teaching style that you really try hard to explain stuff very well, will make you a great teacher, I hope so.
Okay. The one advice I have is often being lazy is not the worst thing. So being lazy in the sense that other people have done a lot of work designing courses and put a lot of thought into that, copy them. If you see something good, copy it. So I often find that I ask people for slides and for course materials that they have and adapt it. It's much easier than doing it from scratch. There's a lot of material out there. There's no need for you to re-implement everything on your own. So so you use what's out there. Ask people for help.